Dianas. Again, I don't know if I introduced myself, but if we haven't met yet, my name's Matt Fulmer, the lead pastor. And I want to start today with a story about actually my oldest kid, Elio, when he was getting baptized. See, I was a pastor at the time, and I got to do his baptism, which was really special for me and for our family. It was really meaningful. But my friend, who was also a pastor, gave me some really good advice before his baptism. He said, Matt, there's no doubt, you're going to make some commitments with Elio getting baptized. You're going to make some promises to raise Elio in the church, to shape him. And there are going to be years of shaping and molding and pouring into Elio that you and your wife, Ricky, are going to do and commit to. And that's all great. But I want you to remember something else. During all of that time, when you're trying to teach him and help him really become who he needs to be, don't forget that God is going to use Elio to teach you a lot too, right? Like through Elio, God is going to form you. God is going to shape you. You're going to learn things about yourself, about God, about others, and about the world through this little tiny baby. So don't overlook the ways that God is going to shape your life and teach you and form you through your kid. Now, Elio is only 7 years old, but I already know that my friend's advice was spot on. I mean, as much as I've tried to teach Elio and his younger sister Esther, being their parent has certainly, probably maybe more so, changed me and informed me on a whole lot of things. And this advice is actually something that I try to pass along to people who have their own kids baptized here at Good Shepherd. And in some ways, this idea is what has inspired the series that we're beginning today. So this morning, kind of kicking off the academic year, and we're also kicking off a brand new sermon series called Childlike. And the main idea of the series comes from one of Jesus' teachings. It happened when Jesus' followers were asking him a question, and it was kind of a goofy question. See, the disciples were debating with one another, Jesus' followers. They wanted to know who was the greatest in God's kingdom. They needed kind of a depth chart, if you will, a ranking on who's better and who's worse. And they came to Jesus and said, hey, Jesus, who's the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And Jesus answered, actually by calling over a kid to sit with the disciples. And he said this, he said, I assure you that if you don't turn your lives around and become like this little child, you will definitely not enter the kingdom of heaven. See, those who humble themselves like this little child will be the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. So whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me. All right, now, Jesus' response to us here in 2024 may not seem that strange, but it's a really surprising answer from Jesus in his day. I mean, today we value kids and we have kids in worship, we celebrate them, but in ancient Rome, they just weren't valued very much. And the disciples were asking, kind of for a ranking system for God's kingdom. And Jesus says, the greatest in God's kingdom is it's people that you kind of push aside. It's children. I mean, look at this kid. If you want to get things right, if you want to experience God in your life in a new way, if you want to learn how to approach your faith life, if you want to grow in your relationship with God, then act more like a kid. Be more childlike. See, Jesus seems to be indicating that kids, children, people who are usually pushed aside, Jesus seems to be saying that children have something really important to teach us, something that we should pay attention to. And if we don't pay attention, Jesus kind of has a warning, like we're going to miss something. We're going to miss out on this kingdom of heaven. And so that's what we're going to do in this series. We're going to try not to miss it. We're going to try to pay attention. And we're going to take some lessons from the kids in our lives and see what they have to teach us. So each week during this series, we're going to look at a different characteristic or an insight into who God is that comes more easily to kids than it does to us adults. So kids, over the next few weeks, like you're the experts, right? You're going to help us learn some things about God, who God is, and how God moves in the world. And the good news is, whether you spend a lot of time with kids or you spend no time at all with kids, I think you were a kid at one time, right? We all were children at one point or another. So maybe we're going to tap back into that perspective that possibly we've lost as adults, and we're going to see what we can learn from having a perspective like a kid. And so to get us started, I want to actually kind of share a story. And this story happened when I was like 5 or 6 years old. Our family needed a new refrigerator, right? They needed a brand new refrigerator, and it was a big deal in our house. I mean, this big new appliance, I'm sure my parents were excited about this appliance. But for me and my brother, when the refrigerator showed up, we cared nothing about the actual refrigerator. Instead, what we were so excited about is what? The box. Right? This box was the greatest thing maybe I'd ever seen in my life at that point. I mean, for weeks, my brother and I, we spent so much time playing in the box. We built forts in the box. We drew on the box. I trapped my younger brother in the box and wouldn't let him out. We pretended the box was a spaceship, a boat, a car, you name it. We played Nerf guns and practiced on the box. We played with that box until it was shredded. Right? But for those few weeks, according to me and my brother, the refrigerator box was the most amazing thing in my house. We were in awe of it. It was amazing. And now fast forward. As an adult, when a huge box comes to my house, there's no sense of awe that comes over me. Instead is a sense of dread. Some of you know. I mean, the biggest question in my mind is, how am I going to take this box and fit it into my recycling bin? Now, my 2 kids, on the other hand, I mean, they love when they get these boxes in. Just like when I was a kid, they play for hours and hours, so I have to figure out how to sneak the box out into the recycling bin so they don't see it. The box has become a problem to solve instead of an adventure to have. There's no wonder and awe. But my kids, I used to be in awe of something as ordinary as a box. And this got me thinking how kids can find wonder and amazement in the most ordinary stuff. I mean, this happens, right, with all sorts of things. It can be a box or a roly-poly on the sidewalk, or it can be one of those old school slinkies that goes down the stairs, or it can be the perfect stick that you found, or the perfect rock to skip across the water. It doesn't matter. It seems like everything is a chance for a kid to be amazed and in wonder. Kids just approach the world that way. Ordinary things are opportunities for excitement. They seem to have the eyes of for the amazing quality for the world that we live in, that we as adults, we just often lose. And I kind of think that's what Jesus is talking about when he says we need to be like a kid if we want to experience God's kingdom. That there are these opportunities all around us, everyday chances to see God, to be amazed and to be in awe. But as adults, man, don't we just dismiss them often as ordinary? Or we're too busy to notice them? And here's the thing, when we dismiss them, we are dismissing chances to be in awe. And we miss out on the world around us and seeing it in new and fresh ways. We miss out on these extraordinary or maybe ordinary opportunities to experience God. And Jesus says, therefore, we miss out on the kingdom of heaven. And so today we're going to talk about how we can be more childlike and in wonder of the world around us and find God in these ordinary things. And there's actually a book in the Bible that spends a lot of time kind of being in wonder of what are often maybe perceived as ordinary things around us. And it's the book of Psalms. Now, if you're familiar with the book of Psalms, it's like 150 poems or prayers that people have written to God, and they express a whole range of emotions. I mean, sometimes those emotions are anger, sometimes they're fear, sometimes it's sadness, but a good number of them are just prayers of praise for God and the amazing things in the world. Prayers of gratitude for how amazing the world is. And one of the best examples of this, maybe my favorite, is Psalm 65. And I'm going to read part of it to you, and I want you just to listen to how the writer is looking at what can be perceived as ordinary stuff and finding wonder and awe in it. This is Psalm 65, starting in verse 6. It says this. This is a psalmist writing to God. It says, you establish the mountains by your strength. You are dressed in raw power. You calm the roaring seas, calm the roaring waves, calm the noise of the nations. Those who dwell on the far edges stand in awe of your acts. You make the gateways of morning and evening sing for joy. You visit the earth and make it abundant, enriching it greatly by God's stream full of water. You provide people with grain because that is what you've decided, drenching the earth's furrows, leveling its ridges. You soften it with rain showers. You bless its growth. You crown the year with your goodness. Your paths overflow with rich food. Even the desert pastures drip with it, and the hills are dressed in pure joy. The meadowlands are covered with flocks, the valleys decked out in grain. They shout for joy, they break out in song. Now, I love how the psalmist, or the writer of the psalm, names all sorts of things and is in awe of them, is praising God for them. I mean, there's a lake and it's green. There's a valley that's green. The lake there's a meadow maybe full of sheep. It says flocks, or the idea that the land produces food, or the beauty of rain coming down on the earth. And each of these things is beautiful and miraculous in its own way. But on the flip side, all of these things can also be easily dismissed. Kind of sort of ordinary stuff. I mean, it's a lake. It's a valley. Sure, the land produces food, but it just does what it does. It's easy to dismiss this stuff because it happens every day. Every day it happens. But for the psalmist, they are seeing these things that they could be taken as ordinary. The psalmist is seeing how miraculous they are. The psalmist is amazed by this ordinary stuff and is in awe of it and giving thanks to God for it. See, the writer is really saying, God, the God of the universe, is all around us. And every single day is incredible. And every day we have this chance to wake up and be amazed by what God is doing. Every single day is an opportunity to celebrate and to break out in song. And it's all a chance to be in wonder and in awe. But here's the really hard thing. When I read this psalm and others like it, I'm reminded that y'all, we just don't do this very often. We don't stop and just take a chance to be in awe of the world around us. It's like something happens to us as we get older, right? We maybe, I mean, there's maybe good reason for it, but something happens, at least happens to me. I mean, we lose some of this aspect of ourselves. I mean, kids can laugh and squeal with delight at some of the simplest, goofiest stuff, but often we as adults, we just don't see the world that way anymore. And maybe there's good reason for it. Like maybe it happens when we start school. We lose that perspective. Maybe it happens later on in school, like in high school, we got tests and activities that we got to keep up with. Maybe it happens, when we get an adult and we have to start doing adult things and worrying about health insurance and paying the bills and the utilities. And so we lose the awe and wonder and we're just committed to responsibility. But something happens. Because as our responsibilities grow, it's like our vision sort of narrows and we get kind of tunnel vision. And we stop seeing the incredible, miraculous nature of the world. We lose our ability to be in wonder of the things around us. I was actually reminded of this earlier this year when I was on a trip with my wife. We went to this area that was a little bit higher elevation, and we were kind of up in the mountains. And one day we decided we wanted to see the sunset. We were going to make it a point to see the sunset. So we went and kind of scouted out a spot, and it had a bench, and it overlooked kind of the mountains and valley, and we took a seat. And then as we sat there, other people started showing up. There was like a guy that showed up with a guitar, and a couple that showed up with a bottle of wine, and some people with blankets kind of set out there. And at the end of the day, there were like 30 to 40 people who had gathered just to watch the sunset right on the side of the road. And it was great. It was beautiful, watching the sun disappear little by little over the horizon. Sky changed colors. It was awesome. It was over, and then my wife and I, we got back into the car, and it struck me, this happens every day. I don't know if you know this, it happens every day. And it doesn't just happen when you're on vacation, right? I mean, sometimes I think we have to We think we have to go on vacation to see a cool sunset or the beauty of creation. But the sunset's every day here in Kansas City. And often it's as beautiful as the sunset I saw on this trip. I mean, at my house, I have windows that look out the west. And every day my backyard lights up in color. And you know what I do? I take it for granted. This really beautiful, awesome thing that happens every single day. I'm like, yeah, I got dinner to make. I got kids to navigate. I got things to do. But we do this all the time. We take beautiful things for granted. What we once kind of felt like was incredible and amazing and beautiful becomes like, yeah, that's okay. That's pretty, which sort of becomes normal. And then pretty soon we just stop paying attention to how amazing it is. And we do this with more than just creation. We do this with relationships, y'all. Like we take relationships for granted, especially relationships that we've had for a long time, that we kind of rely on. We do this also with material stuff. We take our possessions for granted. We focus on what we want, not on what we don't have, or not on what we don't have. We take for granted sometimes what we have, and we don't dream about what God has already given us. We take for granted the beauty and the simplicity of just waking up every single day, the new possibilities that come with it, and a chance to do it all over again. We take this stuff for granted. Things that are amazing reasons to find wonder, chances to be in awe, but over time, we just get used to them. You know, it's easy to think, well, that's just how it goes. But friends, this is dangerous stuff. Because when we stop seeing the miraculous nature of life, when we stop looking at life with wonder, then we often stop seeing God. We stop seeing the way that God is blessing us. We stop seeing how God is providing for us or showing up for us. We stop seeing the miraculous nature of so much that we just stop noticing what God is actually doing and how God is providing for us. And when we do this, man, it's so easy to kind of slip into a posture of resentment. Right? We lose wonder and we lose awe, we lose gratitude, and we pick up frustration. And we pick up resentment towards the world and towards others and even towards God. And I think this is what Jesus is really getting at when he says we need to experience the world a little bit more like children so that we can see that the kingdom of God is all around us. Y'all, this is what's at stake. And if we don't work to be in awe of God, then the world around us, then we miss out on what God is doing, and we can grow resentful. And I don't want to be resentful. But when we decide to see God in the ordinary things, when we decide to pay attention to the miracles all around us and appreciate the extraordinary signs of God's presence and blessings in our lives, y'all, those little things, they change us. It brings a spark into our life. It adds light and joy instead of frustration and resentment. It's the kingdom of heaven. And this is a lesson of our kids. This is a lesson that our kids want to teach us. This is a lesson that actually my daughter is continually trying to teach me. So many of you know my daughter, she's 4 years old. Her name is Esther. She's right here. She seems to always be noticing the little things and be amazed by them. For instance, she comes to preschool here at our North Oak campus, and almost every day we're walking into the building. We walk the same sidewalk every single day, and there are these flowers in the flower bed, and she gets excited about them every day. Now, I want you to know, I love these flowers. They are beautiful flowers, but I've also seen them every day for the past few months. And in the mornings when I'm dropping her off, I'm usually in a hurry. I got to get to work. I got to drop her off to class. I got a meeting I got to get to. But like any 4-year-old, she is not fazed by the things that I need to do. So each day, she stops specifically at the pink and purple flowers and wants to talk about them. So I have to pull myself back and say, yes, honey, just like yesterday and the 3 days before that. These are beautiful, beautiful flowers. And when I pull myself back, and when I actually pause and am present with her, you know what still happens? My meetings still start on time. Work still gets going. But when I stop and engage, it's like a breath of fresh air. And once again, it reminds me of the ways that God is around me and the stuff I take for granted. Or yet another example. We were out somewhere and just randomly in a big crowd of people, and she randomly ran up to this little girl about her age. And I thought, okay, Esther knows this little girl, but nope, she doesn't know her. Never met this girl. I've never met her parents, complete strangers. But she runs up to this little girl and is just enthralled with how much she loves her dress. Just telling her how pretty she is in this dress, how much she loves her dress, and just goes on and on, doting about this dress of this complete stranger. Or these animals. She loves animals, especially dogs. So we're out anywhere and see a dog, she often runs up and oohs and ahs over the dog and talks about how pretty and amazing the dog is and how much she loves the dog. And every time it's just a normal mutt, like it's just a dog. But she's so excited and in awe of this dog. And as an adult, I don't want the awkward encounters with the dog owner or the parents. And usually I have a place to go like I do at work and things to do. But Esther's unfazed. And she often forces me to stop and notice the things that she thinks are amazing. You see, as a 4-year-old, Esther notices stuff. And I hope she always notices stuff. And I hope she keeps me noticing things, forcing me to notice them, because it helps me see the beauty in the ordinary. It helps me see glimpses of God. It helps me be in awe of the things around us. Ralph Waldo Emerson, an American writer from the 19th century, has this quote where he says, "To a dull mind, all nature is leaden, but to the illumined mind, the whole world burns and sparkles with light." I want my world to sparkle with light. And Esther and so many other kids, even though they're kids, they only know the alphabet. So many of our kids have illumined minds because to them, the whole world sparkles with light. And I think that's what Jesus wants for us, to see that all around us. From nature to people to relationships to our bodies to our stuff. I mean, it's all amazing. There's so many reasons to be in awe and wonder. And often we as adults, we get too distracted, too busy, or think it's just too ordinary, and we miss it. We miss chances for joy and delight. We miss the kingdom of God. And so this week, just be in awe of the world around you. See how the world is sparkling with light. See the world like a kid. Take time to be in awe of the miraculous nature of it all. When it comes to the people in your life, see them with fresh eyes. See them as the blessing that they are. Don't take the people around you for granted. Or the things that you have. Maybe don't focus so much on the things you don't have, but maybe you can give thanks each and every day to the things you do have. And y'all, I get it. Sometimes we can feel burdened, restricted with a lot in our life. Life can be hard, seasons can be heavy and difficult, but even in the difficulty, even in the busyness, even in the hard, there are things that we can be grateful for. Blessings that God has put in your life. So maybe this week, look for what God is offering and what God is doing instead of what God is not doing. Look for what's there and don't worry so much about what's not there. Remember to be childlike. Find wonder in the things that God does, the ordinary miracles all around you. Take time to be in awe. And when you do, I bet your whole world will sparkle with light. Let us pray.